Welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Investing Unscripted. I am Brendan Bennett, co-host of the podcast and VP of Revenue at Fund That Flip. And with me is David Dugan, Regional Sales Director for Fund That Flip as well. This is actually part 2 of a 2-part series with one of our favorite borrowers, Dawson Gant. If you want to learn more about Dawson Gant, check out the intro in the last episode. We'll get right to it.
Just to share with the listener, so the way we found Dawson originally, John Andrews, who's our president of the lending company, I think he had to reach out to Dawson, or Dawson get in touch with John somehow. I forget the true origin story, but Dawson, the way that he built a relationship with Fund That Flip without even doing a deal with us, he said, hey, like, I know these other investors that are doing, 5, 10, 20 plus deals a month in this area that I've wholesaled to, that I, see doing a lot of business, see them at the RIAs. Why don't I pull you guys together for a dinner and, no skin in the game, just like, let's see what happens. Like, John, let me add value to you and Fund That Flip immediately in a market that you guys are trying to grow. And like, Dawson actually helped introduce us to some pretty key people without us even doing a deal with them, right? So there was no money exchange between the two of us. Dawson's like, hey, I want to build a really long-lasting, healthy relationship with a lender because it's pivotal to my real estate business. Dawson helped us get something that we wanted without us having to ask for it. So I think just to put an example to what Dawson's talking about, like he practices what he preaches, and that's the reason why we're sitting on this call, which I think is super cool.
Well, and kudos to you on that, Dawson, because Brendan, I think you can speak to this too, right? In our seats, especially being on the sales side of the business for a number of years, we've seen a lot of partnerships fail, right? And we've seen a lot of people want to enter these partnerships or, latch on to certain individuals without adding any sort of value, right? They just want to jump in and be part of what they're doing and be along for the ride and collect a paycheck. And very few people actually approach it with a value add perspective of like, hey, look, I see what you're doing over there. I like what you're doing. I can't do that on my own, but here's one thing I can bring of value to you to help improve your business. And that's all I've heard you say, Dawson, in the last, several minutes here about, the partnerships, maybe not direct partnerships in business, but like strategic partnerships in your businesses that have helped you succeed. Is like you're adding value to them and they're doing the same for you. So it's kind of like a yin and yang effect. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I mean, I go into everything and saying like, hey, I'm going to do this for free with no expectation, right? I didn't have an expectation from Fund That Flip, and I don't typically, but it's nice to have a favor owed, right? So, that's just how I go into it. I'm not expecting monetary compensation, but, down the line, I may need something, and I may pick up the phone and say, hey, I could really use this back scratch. Remember when I helped you out? And if they say no, that's fine. I just won't help them out anymore. Yeah. But I continue to provide value where I can for that.
Well, I was going to ask you earlier kind of what you attributed to scaling so quickly, because I think that's where we see a lot of people struggle as well. It's like they hit that wall and they want to scale quickly, and then for whatever reason they can't do it, right? But if I'm attributing it to a few things in hearing you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, risk appetite is there for sure, right? Leveraging relationships around you, and then kind of finding value add relationships, both you are adding value to them and they're adding value to you. I mean, would you say those are among the top things that have helped you get to kind of ground floor to where you're at now?
Yeah, 100%. I think that those are the big 3 or big 4. Also being understanding there's a saying, I think my dad said it to me originally, is like, take it behind the bar and put a bullet in it. Sometimes it's better to just stop something, right? Like, there's a lot of people that, have really good ideas and they start one business and they're like, oh, I have to make this my $1 billion company. It's just like not possible, right? There's just no way to do that, right? And like, if you're not, don't have the ability to like let the pride and ego go away and just take it to the back of the bar and put a bullet in it, you're gonna get stuck on that one business when you could be, owning several companies that do take you there. So that's another big thing for me.
Love it. Should we touch on the crypto stuff? I want to hear Dawson's perspective on that.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. So, Dawson, probably a year ago, maybe a year and a half even, when you and I were talking about different deals that you were sending to Fund That Flip, we'd have little, side conversations about crypto. And I know you were super involved with it early on. All the drama with FTX, and then BlockFi, who's a place that I parked a little bit of my crypto as of like 2 days ago, just went up belly up as well. So Curious, what do you think about the crypto space in general? Like, how are you positioning your money, or have you already pulled it all out?
I've never made any money in crypto. If the IRS is looking, I've always lost money. No, I think that, so it's really tough because like coming from a real estate background, you can always go touch your asset, right? I've got rentals that like I could go live in, you know, like I kick the tenant out. If I really need a place to live, I could go live in that rental. But there was an undeniable opportunity the last 2 years because when governments are printing money and these people like, it's like legal gambling, right? Like that's what crypto was. And I think there's some really, really phenomenal use cases for cryptocurrency. I don't think we're there yet as a world. But for 2.5 years, it was just legal gambling. And it was gambling that you could, you know, not based off Patrick Mahomes throwing a good touchdown. It was like off just Twitter, you know, like I could go look at a crypto coin and say, oh, this is getting 1 million impressions a minute. I can go dump the money in this and it'll probably 10x in a month, right?
Yeah.
So it was very easy to track. So yeah, we did some stuff and made some money, lost it all, unfortunately. Sorry, FTX screwed me. But you know, I was fortunate to need to pull some money out for some other projects, or like it was sitting there that it wasn't really doing anything. So I didn't have a ton in any of those exchanges. And you know, for me, there are a couple coins that, you know, I see just being like household coins that, you know, I've still got some money in. Because at this point it's like it's on sale, even if it goes up to what it was 20% of a year ago. I stand to make some money, so
Sure.
I didn't pull it all out. I put some more into it, but you know, we are keeping, you know, I keep stuff in a hard wallet. I don't try to put it on any exchanges anymore because of that.
That'd be smart.
But I think that I think it really does show that, you know, hard assets trump, you know, like, and that goes for the stock market too. I'm not a big stock market guy.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any control over it. I like to have control. I would rather make 50% of the money by building a business that's like, you know, I got licensed at GC, and now we have a rehab company that does residential remodels, and like that prints money. It doesn't print crypto money, but I also have a hard asset with market share and people know my name. So I don't know.
You hear about people that are like, you know, I could mostly real estate investors, like I could put this $100,000 into the stock market. It could go up, down, sideways, go to zero. Who knows? I could put $100,000 into my rental property. Like I know I'm gonna get higher rent. I know it's gonna appreciate. I know it's, you know, it's gonna ebb and flow as well. Like we're going through a cycle right now. But you know, real estate's super unique in the sense that like there's not many passive investments, and real estate's not really that passive. I think that's been debunked plenty of times. But like you can immediately see the return on investment from the dollars that you put in, and that's not always a one-to-one relationship with a lot of the other investment avenues.
Well, and the cool thing, like what I tell people about rentals, flips are cool because it's quick cash, but you lose all of it to taxes anyways. But rentals are a really good place to safeguard your wealth, right? Like I don't know anyone that is doing things correctly that's going to become a billionaire using their own money and not creating a fund by buying rentals. But you can already be a millionaire and buy $1 million worth of real estate, and I guarantee you in 2 to 3 years it's worth more. Doesn't matter what market we're in. If you're buying deals right, like, you know, the cool thing about us is we buy, like, you know, I just bought 6 units we have loaned out with you guys for $120,000 total.
Yeah.
I've got $80,000 into the remodel because I do it all in house on all 6 units. And I just got my appraisal back in 4 of the 6 appraised at $300,000. Would I pay $300,000 for it? Hell no. But you know, it happens, and you know, people need somewhere to live, and like that's
the advantage too. To you know, we talked about this a little bit before. Your GC company, there's so many different advantages, and like the biggest one is you can afford to pay a little bit more on a property that's on the market or that's off market, and maybe you won't. Maybe it's still negotiated down, but you could, because while like the investor, you know, rubbing elbows with you might have to pay $100,000 to renovate, your crew's going to do it for 70, right?
Yeah.
So you have additional margin, you have additional room. And I think this especially plays into part when you're doing like the BRRRR method, if you were to back it out into a rental, because your cost base is so much lower that your ability to pull all the cash out is a little bit higher, and now you're able to recycle that cash, and it's all because you have that team in-house.
Yeah, and like a really good example is I bought one rental 2020 maybe now. Maybe it's been a year, maybe it's been 2 years. And as like a little, I don't want to call it a side mission because it sounds like stupid, but as a side mission, I made it its own LLC, and I said, okay, I'm going to use all this money from the refinance. I'm going to pay myself back fully, and I'm going to use the refinance and see how many units I can build this company to. Solely doing, refinance, buy another property, refinance, buy another property. And then I think it's 2 years. I'll give myself 2 years. That's up to 26 units.
Wow, it's crazy.
Find good deal, refinance it, and is it cash flowing a lot right now? No, not really, because rates are up. But I think those 26 units still bring in like $7,000 to $8,000 net.
Yeah, and the
not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. And I have no vacancy. I'm buying in markets where like I'm not the most expensive. I'm not interested in renting a $300,000 house out. I'm renting $50,000 units for $750 to $950, and I don't ever have a vacancy.
Yep.
So along the lines of your construction company, Dawson, when we talked the other day, you were telling Brendan and I some of the stuff you're doing with that construction company just to kind of keep them busy that's also driving revenue for you. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, so a big thing for me, I did a bunch of flips. Then I got, said, oh, I want to be the guy that's building $1 million mansions and the beach. And do I regret that? No. Do I wish I wouldn't have done it? Yes. We still make money, but it's a lot of money to park. And so I kind of got burned, by my first contractor because it was 3.5 hours away. I trusted him, and he wasn't doing the work. So I had to bring in another contractor. And that contractor is a really good dude. And he was like, dude, you need to go get your GC license. He was like, you could do this. You're pretty much managing the project. You're just really using my license and my expertise in the area. Go get your GC license so you don't have to pay me 17% of the cost, which is still a good deal, but regardless, it sucked. So I did that, and, we've been doing my own projects, plus some new construction stuff around where I'm at now, but we get really, really good laborers, really good skilled guys, HVAC trade guys. And the good thing is if you can keep them busy, they'll stay with you and they'll keep the prices low. So what we've started doing, so my foreman can make some more money and everybody can make more money, is we started doing retail projects. We started doing that as like we're just going to do it to keep our guys busy. But then I realized, what cost me $15,000 to do in a kitchen, I can charge $40,000 for, and I can make a $25,000 margin, right? After everything's said and done. Sometimes it's a little bit less than that, sometimes it's a little bit more than that, but we're painting a couple of houses a week right now and making $3,000 a pop. You're paying 5 houses, you make $15,000 a week. That's not a bad little business. So that's how it started, and that's where it's at now. And now we have like four dualies driving around with foremans doing client work, and it's a good little side hustle, and good for to keep all my guys busy, right? So like that's a big thing for me right now is like, once I started making a lot of money or money, I started, changing my lifestyle, and I started changing what I drove and where I lived and all that stuff. But then, I didn't really give enough opportunity to the guys that have been with me from ground zero. So now they have opportunity to change their lifestyle and make more money. So, my foreman who's been with me for 2 years, he gets a profit share in that. He takes 30% of everything we make, but I don't touch the business. So I signed up the bank account, I got us credit cards, I got us a Lowe's account. And he says, hey, Dawson, take $25,000 this month for the account. That's what we made. So, but now he has an opportunity to make way more money, and he'll be around forever with me because I put him in that position.
Yeah, very cool. Dawson, I got a few more questions for you, then we'll get you out. But so I think with you being so young and finding success so early, obviously, like everyone thinks success happens overnight. It obviously doesn't. You've been grinding for 5 years. You had some fortunate timing, but also some very deliberate effort, strategy. People don't see your losses; they see your wins, right? And that's everyone just thinks everything you do, you're making $1 million on. My first question is more geared towards the 18 to 25-year-old that's looking to get into real estate investing and see someone like yourself kind of operating at this scale. Not everyone's going to want to operate the scale that you do, because it could be too intimidating to them. It might be too much for what they want to get into. Maybe they want it to be passive. What advice would you give to someone that's trying to get into your space, and maybe not even young people, but even people that are all ages that are looking to do what you're doing at scale, at some level of scale?
Yeah, I think that's a very profound statement. Not everybody wants to be where I'm at, and that's true. So I I'll hit on that, and then I'll go into what I think you should do. So like you should make that decision, right? Like that's a conscious decision you have to make, because 250 grand a year for some people is enough money to be cool. Like, I mean, that I don't spend more than 250 grand a year on my personal lifestyle. So like, I know that that's enough money, to live a very, albeit inflation, it's comfortable, right? Maybe 500 grand a year is really where it gets comfortable. But you know, my personal bills are like less than 20 grand a month, and that includes some cool cars and the nice house. But once you make that conscious decision, I think you have to understand the sacrifices that come with either one of those. You know, I've missed out on a lot of family events, a lot of personal relationships. You know, people see me on social media and they're like, oh, this guy must have a ton of friends. I can tell you that I don't have one friend that I don't make money with. And that's not to say that all my friends make money with. I have a very select few guys that I hang out with, because that's a sacrifice I have to make. I'm not interested in going to a bar with someone that provides no value. And then as terrible as that sounds, like I've had people ask me like, hey, why do you answer my phone call? And it's a very blunt answer. Like, you either seem like you're going to value me someday, or I see immediate value with talking to you. And if I don't answer your phone call. And that's a, you know, a difficult life to live at some points. But you know, if you make that decision to do that, or even get into real estate investing at all, I think that people have to understand that like social media has really cursed all of us. You can get on social media and look at a guy like me, or go look at any other real estate guy and be like, oh, they have a Lamborghini. Like, I need that next year. That's just not possible. Right.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, what I'm hearing is like, looks awesome, might not be for everybody, right? Like I kind of am a true believer in there's really no true solution. There's only trade-offs, right? So like the lifestyle that you worked really, really hard for, there's a lot of trade-offs that come with that. And it works for you and you love it, but like there's some sacrifices you make.
Yeah, and I think that understanding that like 99% of the stuff you see on social media is not overnight. And if they're saying it's overnight, they're trying to sell you a course, or they don't own the things that they're taking in pictures in front of. You'll understand that like your journey is your journey, right? And you know, you may say, hey, yeah, I want to make 500 grand a year. I want to get into real estate investing. And then you get there and you want more. You're like, hey, I'm happy here. I think that the number one advice I tell everybody is take action quick. And if you fail, you fail. Like all this shit, cryptocurrency can show you it's pretty much imaginary, you know, and not to scare my lenders, but you know, you can go bankrupt and figure it out. So like, I kind of look at all of that and I'm like, you know, it'd be super humbling. And I would probably not show my face for a year, but I would come out the other end much, much more successful and have learned through it. So, you know, it makes the story. So understanding that and understanding that you are going to fail and that just is what it is, can be extremely beneficial. And I think that real estate is there's never a bad time to get into real estate. So taking action as quick as possible and figuring it out, it's been my motto. And, you know, maybe the guy that plans for a year before buying his first rental will be better off, but we'll see. I don't know. You know, like for me, I'd rather own 12 rentals and have messed up on 2 in the time it took the guy to do the first rental perfect, because to me, it's a race.
Yep. Yeah, so I think I know how you're going to respond to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You've already achieved so much at such a young age. Like, what's the goal? What's the vision? Like, there's no finish line for guys like you, which I understand. It's continuously you're moving the goalpost out further and further as soon as you reach it. What does that look like for you, short term, and you know, Dawson at 60? Like, what do you imagine?
Yeah, so short term, right? For me is, you know, I've established myself enough to where I'm pretty much good, right? I can maintain my lifestyle for the next 10 years and not make another dollar. So what I'm really working hard to do, which I think will return me a larger ROI, is to build the guys around me, like similar to the contracting thing, right? My foreman is now making 25 grand a month, where he was making 5 grand a month with me, just working for me. But I'm making an extra 50 grand a month. So if I can continue to do that to the guys around me, it should ROI to me as well. So I'm focused on that. I think that, you know, I talked about conscious decisions, right? I have no interest in being the next Elon Musk or Bezos, sorry. I have no interest in being that guy. I don't need trillions of dollars. My interest is, you know, $12 to $15 million a year and me not having to lift a finger. So I'm not there yet. I'd like to be there in the next 5 years, and then Dawson is 60. I couldn't tell you. You know, I know that I don't like to be bored. I took off Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving, and I told everybody they could take off. I was at my office on Friday. You know, like 6 a.m. I was at my office because I did family stuff on Thanksgiving, and I thought it was, you know, terrible. So not terrible, but I just thought about all the things that I could have got done, and you know, I wanted to focus on that stuff. So I think that for me, having the option to not work is going to be cool, like at all, but I'll still find things that I want to do, and I think that I'll make more money doing the things I'm passionate about.
Yep. So last question from me then, Dugan, I'll kick it over to you. You work your ass off. What do you do for fun? What are the hobbies that you do? What do you like to spend your money on? What's in that $20K budget a month? What do you like to do?
Yeah, so big things for me, vices. Everybody has vices. Watches and cars. I spend my money on those two things, and then travel. I didn't take a trip for the first 3 years of my business. I mean, I was making 150, 200 grand a month and had never been to Mexico. So, you know, I'm traveling now. I'm going to go to Europe soon for my birthday in January, things like that, you know. But the big thing for me is cars, and I've benefited enough to have the relationships that I do. I'm able to make money when I buy these cars and have dealer relationships where I don't really lose money. So, you know, I think last year or this year I've owned 13 or 14 cars. You know, my COO, I was texting them and saying, hey, like, you know, I'm picking up this new McLaren at the end of the month. It's a brand new 2023. And he was like, well, that's your number 6 for the year. And I totally forgot about that, right? So I'm in and out of cars. I don't really keep that many. I have a few that I keep, but, you know, I've been fortunate enough to make money on all the car deals I do, so it doesn't really cost me anything. But yeah, I mean, that's only 2 things I really spend the money on. You know, I take care of my family. I give some money to my family members and you know, things like that. But other than that, I don't really spend my money. I'm dumping all my money into new businesses and new ventures.
What's been your favorite car?
Ooh, that's tough. I've got a 992 GT3 right now, a Porsche. The new Porsche just came out. I think it's my favorite driving car. Ego reasons, it's not that cool of a car. It's not flashy enough for me, which whatever. You spend $500,000 on a car, you want it to be flashy, right? So, and the 992 was not $500,000. Before someone in the comments says that I lied about the price, but you spend any type of money, you want people to kind of know that. I've got an Aventador SV. I want an SVJ. That's what I want for my birthday in a month. So I'm trying to figure out if I can complete a couple things. I'm going to get that. But yeah, Lamborghini and Porsche have been my big things. I'm not a Ferrari guy. I had a G-Wagon, but my girlfriend drives it more than me. So that was a cool car, but I don't drive it anymore. So I've got a Urus, stuff like that. But probably top 3 have been GT3, SV, and I had a twin turbo Huracan that was like 2,000 horsepower, which was cool too.
Sounds pretty cool.
Sounds fun. Well, listen, man, we've had you for almost an hour on here. I appreciate you carving out some time for us. We know you're busy. I'll leave us with this. I think a lot of people look to their elders for, you know, advice and direction, whether it's in life, business, whatever. I think you're a great example of looking at somebody that may be younger than you and seeing the successes that you had and following in your footsteps. But I also think, you know, you've got a really heavy risk appetite. And a lot of people, like I look at myself, you know, I'm in my mid-30s, right? Got 2 kids, got a family. I don't have the risk appetite that you do, but I still think there's, for somebody like myself, a lot that we can learn from you. And, you know, watching you from a distance and you know, the mistakes and successes you had, I think there's a ton that can be learned from that. So, again,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate all the insights you provided. Brendan, Dawson, anything, any parting words from you guys?
Dawson, if you just want a quick opportunity to plug any business ventures, any you know, ways for people to reach out to you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't sell anything online, so there's no courses or anything like that. Please don't hit me up for that. But you can follow me on Instagram, Dawson Gant. It's just my first and last name. I post about my cars and the occasional funny TikTok. So, yeah, that's about it. I appreciate the time, and I you know, grateful for the opportunity. I hope that, you know, something I said resonates with one person out there, and that, you know, one day I meet you and you can tell me, hey, like, I built an empire off a sentence you told me. So, but yeah, I'm super grateful, and I appreciate the Fund That Flip team. drop my name to all your loan originators. Maybe they'll give me $1 and fund my race cars. That's really all I have to say.
All right, man. Well, listen, great stuff. Appreciate you coming on with us. For Real Estate Investing Unscripted and for Dawson and Brendan, I'm David Dugan. You can find us at fundthatflip.com. You can find us across all the social platforms, and we'll look forward to having you next time. Thanks.
Thanks.
This podcast is brought to you by your friends at Fund That Flip and produced by Conversa. Fund That Flip is here for real estate investors all over the U.S. We are the premier hard money lender connecting active investors to passive ones through crowd-funded loans in order to make real estate investing accessible to everyone. We believe providing transparency into our process as well as research and resources for investors at every stage, we can open up the world of REI to more people and help small businesses everywhere transform their communities and make an impact on their neighborhoods. Learn more at fundthatflip.com. Make sure to rate us and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and find us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube.